Imagine a country where the most iconic restaurant chains, those that once defined gastronomic culture and traditions, begin to disappear one by one, swept away by profound social, economic, and cultural changes. This is not a far-fetched hypothesis or a dramatic exaggeration. From emblematic franchises to restaurants that were the very essence of the American lifestyle, many are now facing a grim reality that could lead to their extinction in a very short time. But what is really happening behind these massive closures? The last ones on the list will close in 2025. 1. Subway. Subway was once the ultimate symbol of the American lifestyle. Fast, accessible, and supposedly healthy. For decades, its slogan, "Eat Fresh," resonated in the collective consciousness as a promise of convenience and nutrition in a single package. At its peak in 2015, Subway had over 27,000 locations spread across every corner of the United States, more than any other restaurant chain in the country. But since then, it has begun a dramatic decline that seems unstoppable. By the end of 2024, Subway had closed more than 7,000 locations in less than a decade, leaving it with just 20,000 establishments, a reduction of nearly a third. But this decline is not just a matter of cold numbers. It reflects profound cultural and economic changes that are radically reshaping American society. The first crack in Subway's facade came with highly publicized scandals. First, there was Jared Fogle, the public face of the brand for over a decade, convicted in 2015 of serious crimes related to child exploitation. Then came the international controversy when an Irish court ruled that Subway's bread contained so much sugar it could not legally be classified as bread. These blows irreparably damaged Subway's public reputation, alienating millions of consumers who saw the brand as more than a restaurant, a moral and nutritional choice. By the way, we've created the only travel guide that brings together proven strategies to optimize your budget, manage visas, navigate residencies, and seize cultural and professional opportunities abroad. With 7 volumes full of practical tips and nearly 400 pages, it costs less than a Starbucks coffee. Hurry, because in a few days, we'll raise the price to more than double. There's more information in the community post, and I'll leave the link below. But Subway's crisis is also structural. Its business model, once revolutionary, now feels outdated compared to agile, modern competitors like Jersey Mike's, Firehouse Subs, and Panera Bread. These chains have understood that today's consumer demands absolute transparency, locally sourced fresh ingredients, and a superior dining experience. Subway, with its worn-out establishments, static menus, and a troubling perception of declining quality, simply cannot compete. Even the sale of Subway to Rourke Capital in 2023 failed to stop the bleeding. The lack of a clear vision and real innovation left the chain stuck in a past that the new generation considers irrelevant. Subway went from being a symbol of vitality and conscious choice to a representation of everything modern consumers reject: ultra-processed food, impersonal franchises, and empty promises. The fall of Subway is more than a business anecdote. It is the echo of a profound cultural transformation. It represents the end of an era where fast and healthy food seemed possible and desirable. Now, as its locations quietly close one after another, the void it leaves behind is a silent testament to the generational shift sweeping the United States, where new generations demand real authenticity instead of mere advertising slogans. 2. Hooters. Hooters burst onto the American dining scene in 1983, selling not only chicken wings, but an experience that combined sports, fast food, and waitresses dressed in tight uniforms that soon became its hallmark. For decades, this model thrived, reaching over 430 locations in 2012. But today, that formula feels outdated and even offensive to contemporary sensibilities, triggering a deep crisis in the chain's identity and economic sustainability. By 2024, the situation was alarming. Hooters locations had drastically reduced to fewer than 280, with massive closures in key cities like Chicago and Houston. This decline is not just a financial crisis. It reflects a fundamental shift in how new generations perceive entertainment and dining. A 2023 Statista report revealed that over 60% of young American adults aged 18 to 34 expressed discomfort with Hooters' business model, which heavily relies on the objectification of women. This figure indicates a resounding and growing rejection by the young demographic, precisely the segment the chain needs to remain relevant. Additionally, the quality of its food offerings has been consistently criticized. With an average rating of just 2.9 out of 5 on Yelp, Hooters lags far behind more innovative competitors like Twin Peaks or Tilted Kilt, which have successfully updated their concepts with more appealing menus, better culinary quality, and an image more aligned with current values. But perhaps the most critical issue is the emotional and generational disconnect the brand is experiencing. Generation Z and millennials feel no nostalgia for Hooters. What was once seen as a fun, laid-back place to watch sports and socialize is now perceived as an awkward symbol of a less aware, more sexist past. Hooters' attempts to adapt have been timid and ineffective, superficially trying to improve its menu or launch temporary promotions without addressing the core issue. A business model entirely out of step with current cultural sensibilities. Hooters' decline is much more than a simple story of business failure. It represents the end of an era, an irreversible shift in America's cultural and social values. 3. Red Lobster. Red Lobster, founded in 1968, became synonymous with accessible luxury and special celebrations for millions of American families for decades. With its iconic promotions like endless shrimp and affordable yet indulgent menus, it was the go-to restaurant for graduations, birthdays, and anniversaries across the country. However, in recent years, the chain has faced a severe financial crisis that threatens its very existence. In the first quarter of 2024, Red Lobster reported alarming losses of $33 million. This critical situation reflects not only a temporary financial issue, but the culmination of a series of structural and cultural challenges accumulated over years. The drastic rise in prices for key seafood items, such as lobster and crab, directly impacted its economic model, significantly increasing the cost of its dishes and pushing them out of reach for the working middle class, which was the backbone of its clientele. Widespread inflation also severely affected its profitability. Operating costs, including wages and rent, became unsustainable for a chain whose margins were always tight. Additionally, the COVID-19 pandemic exacerbated the situation, resulting in a 30% reduction in regular diners compared to pre-2020 levels, according to data published by FSR magazine in 2023. The cultural consequence of this crisis is profound. Red Lobster is no longer the accessible place where families could afford small luxuries to celebrate important moments. It is now increasingly perceived as an unnecessary and prohibitive luxury. The chain, unable to adapt to new consumption standards demanding freshness, sustainability, and real value, has become trapped in a crisis of identity and relevance. 4. Applebee's was, for many years, a true symbol of American casual dining, offering an attractive balance between affordable meals and a friendly, family-oriented atmosphere. Founded in 1980, the chain quickly gained popularity as an everyday gathering spot for families, couples, and groups of friends, offering extensive menus with accessible and comforting options. However, over the past decade, the chain has faced a dramatic decline that reflects fundamental changes in consumption habits and cultural expectations. In 2023, Applebee's confirmed the closure of 46 locations nationwide, and projections for 2025 are even bleaker, anticipating the closure of an additional 25 to 35 restaurants, according to data from its parent company, Dine Brands. This decline is not an isolated phenomenon, but a sign of a deep crisis in the casual dining business model, which no longer resonates with new generations. The core issue is that Applebee's is stuck in an awkward middle ground, too expensive to compete with fast food chains, and too simplistic to compete with restaurants offering more sophisticated dining experiences. The result is a significant loss of regular customers, which has dropped by 20% since the pandemic, with most of its loyal customers now being over 45 years old. Millennials and Generation Z have migrated to faster, visually appealing, and social media shareable dining options. Restaurants like Chipotle, Panera Bread, or local chains with unique and authentic culinary offerings have captured this audience, leaving Applebee's in an obsolete position. This generational shift is critical, as the brand has lost its ability to attract young consumers. Furthermore, Applebee's attempts to revamp its image and update its menu have been timid and insufficient. They have introduced temporary promotions and trendy dishes, but these efforts have failed to change the widespread perception that the chain is outdated and uninnovative. 5. Salt Bae. Salt Bae, whose real name is Nusret Gökçe, skyrocketed to global fame in 2017 thanks to a viral meme showcasing his theatrical and extravagant meat salting gesture. His unique and ostentatious style quickly became a trademark, and his restaurants, Nusret Et, expanded to luxurious cities like New York, Miami, and Las Vegas, attracting celebrities and wealthy tourists eager to partake in the viral experience. However, behind this apparent prosperity lay a highly vulnerable business model based primarily on novelty and superficial ostentation. By 2024, Nusret Et began facing massive closures of its most iconic U.S. locations, hit hard by increasingly negative reviews on platforms like Yelp and Google. Recurring complaints pointed to unjustifiably astronomical prices, with individual dishes reaching up to $1,000 for a portion of Wagyu beef or $500 for a gold leaf-decorated steak. This excessive luxury, initially appealing to those seeking social media prestige, quickly became the subject of criticism and rejection. The fall of Nusret clearly reflects a significant cultural shift in American society. In an era marked by rampant inflation, economic uncertainty, and growing social inequality, the model of extreme ostentation began to be seen as profoundly disconnected and even offensive. Generation Z, known for valuing authenticity, social responsibility, and economic sensibility, found little appeal in a brand based solely on superficial spectacle. The cultural fatigue toward Salt Bae was also accelerated by the public perception of his persona, which quickly shifted from viral admiration to widespread exhaustion. Social media, which once propelled him to fame, began filling with biting criticism and mockery of his pretentious service style, labeling it a perfect symbol of empty consumerism and extreme superficiality. Competitors offering more accessible, quality-focused, and authentic dining experiences have emerged as preferred alternatives for consumers seeking meaningful culinary experiences. 6. The Cheesecake Factory. The Cheesecake Factory emerged in the 1970s as a true icon of American dining, famous for its exceptionally extensive menu and focus on generous portions. For decades, its locations were synonymous with accessible indulgence, the preferred spot for family dinners, special dates, and various celebrations. However, the current reality is starkly different, and the chain faces a pronounced decline that could culminate in its disappearance by 2025. Since 2018, the Cheesecake Factory has seen a sustained drop in visits, with a 20% decrease by 2023, according to the National Restaurant Association, NRA. This decline is neither coincidental nor circumstantial, but the result of deep structural and cultural factors that have radically altered the American dining landscape. The core issue lies in its original model, which no longer works in the current economic and cultural context. Its menu of over 250 items, once a unique draw, now causes fatigue and confusion among modern customers seeking simplicity, specific quality, and authenticity in their dining experiences. Additionally, the chain's relatively high prices, with an average bill easily exceeding $50 for a couple, are no longer justified in the face of more affordable and contemporary alternatives. Competitors like Chipotle and Panera Bread have captured a significant market share with more affordable, agile proposals aligned with contemporary values of health and sustainability. Unlike the Cheesecake Factory, these competitors have quickly responded to changing consumer demands, offering fresh, local, and organic ingredients alongside visually appealing and social media shareable experiences. This decline also has a significant cultural dimension. The Cheesecake Factory was long a symbol of accessible opulence, a place where abundance and gastronomic excess were celebrated without remorse. Today, however, in an economy marked by persistent inflation, growing social inequality, and an increasingly conscious focus on healthy habits, this model of unrestrained abundance feels outdated and even irresponsible. The brand has made timid attempts to adapt, introducing healthier options or trendy dishes, but these efforts have been insufficient and superficial. The essence of its offering remains rooted in excess, something increasingly rejected by conscious consumers. If the Cheesecake Factory does not undertake an urgent and profound reinvention, radically adjusting its business model and philosophy to the new values and expectations of contemporary consumers, it risks disappearing entirely before the end of 2025. Leaving behind only nostalgic memories of an era when abundance was synonymous with success and satisfaction. 7. Buffalo Wild Wings. Buffalo Wild Wings, popularly known as B-dubs, emerged as an American phenomenon in the 1980s, combining chicken wings, live sports, and a casual, rowdy atmosphere. For decades, it was a go-to spot for groups of friends and sports fans seeking a lively, uninhibited experience. However, in recent years, this once successful combination has begun to crumble dramatically. Since 2018, Buffalo Wild Wings revenue has declined by approximately 15%, according to Statista. This drop reflects far more than a fleeting shift in tastes. It is the direct result of a profound transformation in the cultural and gastronomic preferences of the American public. What was once perceived as a festive and exciting atmosphere is now seen by many modern consumers as chaotic, uncomfortable, and even outdated. The original B-dubs model, based on greasy food, abundant alcoholic drinks, and loud sporting events, no longer connects with a generation that increasingly values health, culinary quality, and meaningful dining experiences. Moreover, the excessively noisy environment, once its main draw, has become a clear deterrent, especially for families and younger consumers. Competition has also been a crucial factor in its decline. Emerging chains like Wingstop and Zaxby's have captured a significant market share by offering similar menus at considerably lower prices, typically $20 to $25 per meal compared to $30 to $40 at Buffalo Wild Wings. Additionally, these more agile competitors have quickly adapted to new gastronomic trends, incorporating healthier options, fresh ingredients, and more modern, pleasant environments. The crisis at B-dubs symbolizes a significant transition in the American cultural landscape. 8. Taco Bell. Taco Bell emerged on the American dining scene as a revolution in fast food, offering bold and accessible Tex-Mex flavors since its founding in 1962. For decades, Taco Bell was synonymous with affordable and convenient food, an appealing option for millions of Americans seeking speed, low prices, and a fun dining experience. But in recent years, this iconic chain has faced an existential crisis that could push it to the brink of extinction by the end of 2025. Although Taco Bell reported modest 3% growth in 2023, this increase pales in comparison to its direct competitors like Chipotle and Chick-fil-A, which have shown far more robust growth rates. The fundamental challenge for Taco Bell lies in the growing public perception that its food is unhealthy and overly processed, clashing directly with modern consumers' demands for freshness, quality, and nutritional transparency. Recent attempts by the chain to introduce vegan and vegetarian options have been seen as timid and insufficient, failing to significantly attract a public increasingly concerned with health and environmental sustainability. Taco Bell faces a complex paradox. Its business model relies on offering low prices, but in the current context of inflation and rising production costs, maintaining these prices without further compromising product quality has become nearly impossible. This structural dilemma places Taco Bell in an extremely vulnerable position. Conscious consumers are seeking alternatives that combine affordability with real quality and sustainability, something competitors like Chipotle have effectively capitalized on. As these rivals continue to gain ground, Taco Bell is left behind, struggling to maintain relevance in an increasingly competitive and demanding market. Moreover, Taco Bell's perception as a spot for quick, cheap, late-night food, while once a strength, now significantly limits its ability to attract a broad and diverse audience. New generations seek more than convenience. They want dining experiences that reflect their personal and social values. Taco Bell's current crisis symbolizes a profound cultural transformation in the United States. 9. IHOP. The famous international breakfast restaurant chain founded in 1958 has been an iconic symbol of the traditional American breakfast for decades. Known primarily for its pancakes, IHOP became the preferred destination for millions of families and friends looking to start the day with an indulgent, hearty meal. However, in recent years, the brand has experienced a marked decline, facing structural and cultural challenges that could lead to its disappearance by 2025. Over the past 5 years, pancake consumption in the United States has fallen by a concerning 44%. This dramatic decline reflects profound changes in modern consumers' dietary and gastronomic preferences, who increasingly prioritize healthy, light, and convenient options. IHOP has attempted to respond to these changes by introducing salads, smoothies, and other healthier alternatives to its menu, but these efforts have proven insufficient to halt the decline in sales. Economically, the chain saw a 3.6% revenue drop in 2023, according to IBIS World data. This reduction reflects not only a shift in dietary preferences, but also a deeper crisis in IHOP's traditional business model. Its large establishments, typically located in suburban areas with high operating costs, have proven inefficient compared to more agile, smaller, and flexible competitors that have emerged in the breakfast and brunch market. Restaurants like First Watch and Egg Up Grill have quickly captured consumer attention, offering fresh, local menus aligned with current gastronomic trends. These competitors have successfully positioned themselves in specific niches, capturing a growing market share with appealing culinary and experiential offerings. IHOP's crisis also reflects an identity crisis. For a long time, the chain was the undisputed reference for the classic American breakfast. 10. TGI Fridays. TGI Fridays, founded in 1965, quickly established itself as a social icon in the United States, embodying the essence of casual dining during the 1980s and 1990s. For years, the chain was synonymous with relaxed after-work gatherings, offering a festive atmosphere combined with indulgent menus featuring burgers, ribs, and affordable cocktails. But in recent times, TGI Fridays' reality has changed drastically, facing a financial and cultural crisis that could lead to its disappearance before the end of 2025. In 2023, the chain reported a concerning 4% revenue drop, according to IBIS World reports. This decline is not merely a momentary economic fluctuation, but a clear sign of a deep structural crisis. TGI Fridays' traditional model, based on heavy, calorie-laden menus, no longer resonates with the growing demand for healthy, sustainable, and fresh options that now dominate modern consumer preferences. Recent rebranding and menu update attempts have resulted in notable failures. The introduction of temporary promotions and new dishes has failed to change the widespread perception that the chain is outdated and misaligned with current expectations. While other restaurant chains have successfully adopted trends like conscious eating, local ingredients, and personalized menus, TGI Fridays has lagged behind, struggling to stay relevant in an increasingly demanding and competitive market. From a structural perspective, the chain also faces serious challenges. Its large restaurants, designed for an era when size and capacity were synonymous with success, now represent a significant financial burden. Maintaining these locations is costly and inefficient in an economic context marked by persistent inflation, higher wages, and rising operating costs. Additionally, TGI Fridays has lost its emotional connection with new generations. Millennials and Generation Z, who seek authentic, healthy, and unique dining experiences, view Fridays' offerings as generic and uninspiring. Independent restaurants, emerging chains, and fast yet sophisticated options have quickly captured this key audience, leaving Fridays with an increasingly shrinking and aging customer base.